If you want to find the right girlfriend or wife, this video is for you. My name is Meessen. I'm an international dating coach. I've already helped men from almost 35 countries find the right girlfriend or wife and get more high-quality male friends. Today, I'm going to share one of the most important principles with you. If you want to find the right one, you have to enjoy the process. If you want to enjoy the process for a period of time, for a couple of months, so you can check out of the dating process, this finite game, to have an amazing woman by your side, you have to get wins. This principle will not only help you in your dating or your relationship life, but in the rest of your life in general as well. The winner effect basically means that when you get something that you consider to be a win, be that in your career you get a promotion, you get a number from a woman, you have sex with a lady, you close a business deal, you make progress in the gym, you make progress, you get something that constitutes a win, you have an increase in testosterone and dopamine, you feel euphoric, and that can last for hours and days. And it also says that if you don't have enough wins, you'll feel down, you'll feel a little depressed, you'll feel a little lonely, momentum isn't there, you lack passion. So, in order for you to enjoy the process as well as be effective in your communication with women, you have to have energy. That comes from the winner effect. Now, how can you systematically use the winner effect in your dating and your relationship life to your advantage? Well, first of all, you have to make sure that you set up the goals in such a manner that a win is easily achievable. Let's start with dating apps, for example. Dating apps can be the exact opposite of a winner effect for most men. They swipe, they don't see women that they really want to match with, then every now and then they get a match, the conversation dies out at some point, and their entire self-esteem just plummets and plummets and plummets, and then on top of that, your dopamine temporarily spikes, but because there was no effort that was preceding the temporary reward, dopamine plummets. So your self-esteem goes down, your dopamine goes down, you're not getting wins from it, so you delete it. Then a couple of months later, when you're horny and you feel lonely, you reinstall it, you swipe, and it doesn't lead anywhere because you don't even know what you're doing. So on dating apps, you have to build a good profile, get the algorithm to recognize that your profile is really good by having fantastic pictures, social proof, lifestyle, status, professional photography, write a great bio, write great prompts, get good at texting. If you actually use the apps well and then split test it, and then only use it for 15 to 20 minutes a day, which is really all that's required for 2 to 4 high-quality dates a month, then all of a sudden, you're going to start getting wins. And defining wins closely also means just making progress in the beginning. If you think, oh, I need 3 dates a week from dating apps, well, you're going to set yourself up for failure, okay? But give yourself, in terms of your own expectations, a couple of weeks to reset the algorithm. Once you've built a truly fantastic profile, then it's going to catch up. Progress. Let's take the example of an approach. If the criteria for success is the fact that you get her number, that you exchange her Instagram, you're almost guaranteed to set yourself up for failure because by definition, not by definition, but by virtue of reality, you will always get more rejections than successes. And if you define a rejection not as a win, but as evidence that you're not worthy of love, yeah, then the winner effect, you're basically going to have the opposite. You're going to start feeling like a worthless piece of shit. And then you won't enjoy the process, you won't have energy, and you'll stop. The most important reason you have to figure this thing out and use it in such a systematic manner is just so that you keep going. 80% of success in anything is mindset. 20% is tactics and strategies. And in our coaching program, we teach tactics and strategies that are absolute game changers. Apply for a free initial call if you want our help with that. But when it comes to the approach, the only criteria for success is the fact that you approach. If you define it as such, you're guaranteed to win. You're guaranteed to win because you can approach. Now, let's take a step back even further. You might say, David, I'm not even able to approach. I'm so nervous. I have so much approach anxiety. I freeze. I overthink. I talk myself out of it. Well, then you got to use progressive desensitization. Can you have general social interactions? Can you ask for directions? Can you ask for directions and then have a bit of a conversation and then walk away? Can you ask for directions, have a conversation, give a compliment and walk away? Can you ask for directions, have a conversation, give a compliment and then ask for the number? And then you can build it step by step. Can you also, for example, approach somebody that you might not be that physically attracted to and then give a compliment? Can you approach somebody that you're maybe a little bit more physically attracted to? So you can gradually increase the levels of difficulty. So one, for the winner effect to really kick, for you to get wins quickly, you have to set the game up in a way where it's very easy for you to win. And then also, you have to manage your expectations and manage your emotional state, because success truly is the ability to go from failure to failure or from rejection to rejection without the loss of enthusiasm. But you're only going to be able to do that if you manage your internal dialogue. How do you speak to yourself? How do you speak with yourself when you get a win? Probably like, yeah, it's fine, let's move on. If you're an achiever, if you're an ambitious person, if you're successful in certain areas, you probably don't give yourself enough credit for the things you have done right. If you don't make a decision to reward yourself for the things you do well and stop punishing yourself so much internally when things don't go the way you want them to go, you'll never be able to have the internal fortitude that's required to keep playing this game to the very end, and you're going to settle for somebody with whom you have a 5 out of 10 level compatibility. And the difference between a 5 out of 10 level compatibility and an 8.5 or 9 out of 10 level compatibility is a world of difference. It's a life of happiness. So, dating apps, use it well. Adjust your expectations, approaches. Define each approach that you do as a success in and of itself, and then you won. Because you only need to play that mental game of internal wins until you get the actual outside factual win. Because we can't just sit there or stand on a mountain and tell ourselves, oh, I'm so fantastic, I'm the best in the whole world, everybody loves me, who wouldn't want a ginger? You can tell yourself when you're in nature by yourself, but if objective reality does not validate that, well, it's not true. And you don't want to BS yourself. But it is also true that you have to believe things that have utility, that empower you. So you need to empower yourself until you get the next number, until you get a great date, until life validates your belief. But beliefs come first. What dictates your actions? Your thoughts, in essence. In other words, your beliefs. If you don't believe that dating apps work, are you going to use them? Either not at all, or you're going to half-ass it. If you half-ass dating apps, are you going to get great results, shitty results? Shitty results. Those shitty results then reinforce the beliefs that dating apps don't work, so you're going to start using them less, you're not going to put any more effort into it, and you're going to really struggle, and you're going to stop using them eventually, and you're going to be one of those cucks on the internet complaining that the algorithm is skewed against us men just because you didn't use them properly. If you don't think approaches work, if you have any type of limiting belief, then you don't take the action, then the lack of results or the poor results feed back into the disempowering belief. So you have to structure the game in a way where you're likely to win. So in order to get these wins, you have to motivate yourself from the inside. There's 3 components that I've learned from Tony Robbins and one of Germany's best psychologists, Gunther Schmidt. I'm not a doctor or a psychologist, but my family, they work in that field, so I had access to some amazing people. So, if you want to have the internal fortitude necessary to get the objective wins, which fill you with dopamine, testosterone, and to really motivate you, the kiss, the date, the on-site of a beautiful relationship, you have to first control what you focus on. Whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. Tony Robbins says, what's wrong is always available, so is what's right. And that's actually true. It's really true. You can right now focus on all the times you got rejected. Oh, Sarah rejected me, she left me, she cheated on me. Just by putting that image or that sound or that feeling in your body, it produces emotions. Visual, kinesthetic, audacity, audio, right? If you put that image in your mind, that thought, it will produce a certain mental and emotional reality. Now, how do you guide your focus? With questions. If you were to ask yourself right now, what things have I done well in the past in my dating life? Have you ever approached somebody and it went really well? Have you ever had a date and a woman was really interested in you? Okay, what did that feel like? A woman truly being obsessed with you, being in love with you? Because I'm sure you've had these moments. Or at least a little glimpse of it. When she looks at you, when she looks at you with total adoration. She's totally infatuated by your very being. And you're connecting. How's that? Just by putting that image in your mind, that produces more certainty. For you to be able to take the actions necessary to achieve the wins, which in turn empower you, you have to create a state of certainty from within. the best way to do that, or one of the ways to do that, is first focus. Focus on the things you have done well in the past. Focus on what you can control. When you're stressed, there's something you're doing you shouldn't be doing, or there's something you're not doing that you could be doing. What is something you're not doing right now that you could be doing? Did you write your list of must-haves, nice-to-haves, and deal-breakers? Did you socialize this week? Did you create an event to spend time with quality male friends? Are you meeting your psychological needs? There's so many more things you can do. Did you exercise religiously this week? Did you listen to personal development content? Yeah, you're doing it right now. Well done. Did you take care of your nutrition? Did you meditate? Did you approach? Did you send messages on Instagram? There's so many things you could be doing. And when you actually do all the things you could do apart in your mind, will switch. And there will be peace. If you do everything you can today to actually move the needle towards a beautiful relationship, you'll be peaceful by the end of the day. And then you can judge each day by the seeds you planted, not by the harvest you reaped. It's really true. Your brain will reward you with inner peace once you've taken sufficient action. Now, this is not about making this a 20-hour-a-week project. If you're a man who has a busy career, you're doing well in your business, you have hobbies, you have a life outside of this. But can you dedicate 5 to 10 hours a week to this? You have 112 waking hours available to yourself every single week. Can you dedicate 5 to 10? Yeah, absolutely you can. So simply by changing your focus, it creates a different mental and emotional reality. But so many times you focus on what went wrong. And let me tell you something, in between approaches, in between interactions, it's not the time to analyze. Take conscious time during the day to reflect. You blur the times between being in flow and pure self-empowerment and critical analysis. I've talked about the Walt Disney principle or the Walt Disney method in other videos, but the idea is Walt Disney worked in different rooms. One of the rooms he worked in was purely to dream up these magical beings. He would not allow a single critical thought in that room. 3 horns, 7 eyes, 14 wings, whatever it may be. He just allowed himself to have all types of creative and beautiful thoughts in terms of these magical beings, even if they didn't make any sense at all. Then he would take these thoughts, take them into the next room in his house or in his office, and there he'd be his own worst critic. And he'd analyze, this doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense, and he'd tie the stories together. And whatever would be left, he would then take into the third room, which is the room of work, where he would actually paint and carve them out of wood and create whatever stood, not the test of time, but the test of his own worst criticism. But if you don't divide the time very carefully between when you're self-critical and self-empowering, you're always somewhere in the middle. And you have to understand that women love a man who's on a date, who's purely self-empowered. There's zero time for critical self-analysis when you're on a date. You need to be super confident. Doesn't mean arrogant, doesn't mean narcissistic, doesn't mean over the top, but you got to be really confident. But you can only train the habit of confidence, one, if you focus on the right things, but also if you don't blur the lines. Take conscious 7 minutes, 15 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day to reflect on what you could have done better. Get external feedback. Apply for a free initial call if you want our help with it. Get somebody else's help. Get feedback analyzed at a specific time. But once that time is over, it's time to move on. And you got to refuse to live in an antagonistic relationship with yourself. You're so hard on yourself. What if you just stopped that? What if you just took a break and actually acknowledged all the things you did well? Haven't you been through some shit? I'm not saying you have to give yourself credit for all the things you did good. But what if there was a little bit of acknowledgement for the side in you that did suffer, maybe in previous relationships? Not from a victim's perspective and I'm a little pussy. No, but like genuine compassion and warmth and loving awareness for yourself. And encouragement saying, wow, there's actually 200 things that I could think about right now that I could be so proud of. In that moment, it creates a different reality for you. That's focus. And then how do you talk to yourself? Your inner dialogue has 2 components. The content of the words you utter in your own mind, and then the tonality you say it with. If you have disempowering thoughts, they're often heavy or intense. If you change them to a Donald Duck type of voice, I'm a worthless piece of shit, I'm a worthless piece of shit, it sounds absolutely crazy, but it's actually cutting-edge neuroscience. If you change the tonality of your inner dialogue, the emotional impact is an absolutely different one. Try having a self-defeating inner dialogue and saying it in a Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse or cartoonish type of way. I'm a worthless piece of shit. No woman will ever love a ginger. It sounds strange, but it's what some of the greatest minds in psychology agree upon. If you change not just the words you say, but how you say it in your own mind, it's called a pattern interrupt. You dissociate from the suffering side within you because you're like, oftentimes suffering also comes in the form of questions. How am I ever supposed to get this right? Dating apps haven't worked for me in the past. I don't think they're going to work for me in the future. Why would she even want to talk to me? I don't want to interrupt her. All these thoughts, all these disempowering thoughts. And then they feel heavy. If you just change how you talk to yourself in your own head by changing tonality first, as opposed to content first, tonality first, the emotional impactfulness will be a different one and you can get out of that suffering state instantly. So then it's obviously about the words and you can take conscious control of them. And affirmations really truly work. Now, it doesn't mean you have to run around a field and say, I'm crazily super happy, but affirming a self-empowering dialogue, and we're like, that was awesome. That was awesome. Simple as that. You do something good and you just go, that was awesome. That was fucking awesome. I promise you, if you do that 30 times over the next 2 months, small situation, over the next couple of weeks, you do something good and you're like, that was fucking awesome. That was fucking awesome. The 31st time you do something, it speaks from within. Where do you think your internal dialogue comes from? It comes from the outside. That negativity that you have within, and I'm not saying it's even that bad, but when it comes at times, especially when it manifests itself in a dating context, somebody put that there. That's not who you truly are. It was placed upon you, and you have to remove it like an exorcism. But you can't actually remove it neurologically because it's a pattern. The way you remove a pattern neurologically is you don't fire it anymore. You let it die out and you encourage a new one. And then the new one comes and then the old pathway in your brain dies out. Hey, that was fucking awesome. Fuck yeah. Amazing. Nobody would have the courage to do this thing. Most guys are cucks. Whatever motivates you in the moment. Obviously, we want to have spiritual level of motivation. This low level of ego-driven motivation is only of like saying, oh, if she rejects you, she must be a lesbian or whatever amuses you. Only makes sense in the moment to get yourself out of the suffering state, to then take action again, to then shift to higher spiritual levels of being. But in the moment, the most important thing is that you act. And whatever is necessary, as long as you obviously don't say it to her, but you can have whatever internally amusing dialogue you wish. If she rejects you and you simply say, oh, she must be a lesbian. How does that feel? Feels different to, this is never going to work. I knew I'm never going to figure this out. That's fucking heavy. That's very self-defeating. How on earth are you supposed to feel confident during the next approach, during the next date, if you carry this energy forward? So, focus and language patterns. The third one is physiology. You need to take control of your body. And physiology also means your voice. How much certainty do you put behind your words? How's your body language? Do you use your hands when you're talking? I'm not saying you have to start gesturing like I do in a weird and silly way. I understand that. But can you just put your shoulders back a little bit more? Jordan Peterson says it. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. How do you walk? Gunther Schmidt, one of Germany's best psychologists, he says, how you're going, that's how it's going. How you're going, that's how it's going. Your body language is not just an expression of your current mental and emotional state, but it actually primes a more empowering one. If you use your body the way you do when you feel good, this in turn makes you more confident. Gunther Schmidt always says, it's his job to lead people into their zone of competence. I want you to feel competent and strong, but you have to assume responsibility for creating that emotional reality from within. Saunas, ice bath, exercise, meditation, all these things change your neurochemistry. You have these abilities within you to turn it on. But if you don't do it, then you won't be able to take enough action to get the objective wins for the winner effect to truly kick. So, we had dating apps, we had the approach, then we had the little tangent, which is extremely important on managing your own mental and emotional reality. And another way to ensure the winner effect is going to kick, have social accountability. Some people, like me, they won't do shit for themselves. They'll only do it if they're accountable to other people. And if other people depend on them and they're responsible for it. So one mental experiment you could do is just ask yourself, who depends on this? Who do I know that depends on me doing well in this area? And then you realize, well, if I don't make myself happy in this area, my children won't be happy because you won't be able to bring the same energy. I guarantee you for a fact, after an approach, after you just got a number, after a successful date, you have more energy and aliveness and love for life. But that was earned. So set up social accountability systems in your life. If you say something, you have to do it. If you're a man of integrity, the second you say, I'm going to do something, you have to do it. So tell people, don't just keep it in your own head. Say, this week, I'm going to socialize. This week, I'm going to set up dating apps. This week, I'm going to send this many messages on Instagram. Say it to somebody who's going to hold you accountable. And the probability that you're going to do it is so much higher. You have to take a systematic approach as well as a hypno approach. Gunther Schmidt calls it hypnosystemic therapy. I'm obviously not an expert on it, but what I've learned from him is there's an internal component about our own mental and emotional reality, which I referred to earlier, and a systematic component. If you have a good friend that you can go out with to bars and don't drink and don't consume caffeine and don't consume any other bullshit, but simply go out to socialize, and you have that in your calendar once a week, the probability that you're going to do it is a lot higher. If you have a coach, a mentor, peers, that will hold you accountable. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. Not only is it true that if you want to be happy, you have to infuse your life with people who add a sense of happiness and joy and laughter, but it is also a social accountability system. So, dating apps, approaches, and on Instagram, tell yourself, I will hit these KPIs. I'm going to build a fantastic Instagram profile, or at least a good one. Can you at least build a good one and then send direct messages on Instagram? Or you see somebody on Tinder, Hinge, or Bumble and then message her there? Can you please do that? Can you please make sure she lands on an Instagram profile where there's social proof, so it's not just you and your old photos from 5 years ago, a couple of weird selfies, just you standing in front of not well dressed in front of a mountain like that? Can you make yourself look good, please? Because remember, you know what you have to offer. She doesn't know any of that. All she knows is what you communicate and how you portray it. So can you make the commitment to somebody, or at least to yourself, that you will send X many messages on Instagram in a calibrated and respectful way? If you hit the KPIs, key performance indicators, certain numbers, the result always comes. You just got to manage your mental and emotional state for the result to come. Boom! And then you get the winner effect. And then, when the winner effect kicks, if you really want to capitalize on it, you got to use the momentum. The second you have a win, don't crawl back into your shell, say like, well, done for a week, not going to do anything now. More action, more momentum, more approaches, more dating apps, more Instagram, 5 to 10 hours a week. That's all it takes. Once you have momentum, you can never let it go, because then it feels effortless. You've experienced that in your business or in your job or in some hobby. In the beginning, there's inertia, and it takes this extra bit of energy to get this rock over the tipping point. But once it's over the hill, it starts rolling by itself, because a body in motion will stay in motion up until acted upon with a force equal or greater. Right? Whatever Newton's law that is. You get what I'm saying? In the beginning, it's difficult. But at some point, when things are rolling, you don't have any emotional resistance anymore. At the moment, you have resistance because you're lost and you don't have structure. But once you start taking action systematically, and you get win after win after win after win, you feel alive. You feel a sense of confidence. And you will automatically say the right things. Yeah, there are strategies and techniques for storytelling and building a man-to-woman connection that are absolutely amazing. True. But if you actually get win after win after win after win, you can just say hi and she'll look at you like, wow, the same person. I can have the same face. And if my energy isn't good, if I haven't created enough of a winner effect, if I haven't managed my mental and emotional state, I can say the right things and it just won't land as well. But if you're in the right state, you'll come up with creative solutions to problems. You'll say the right things. You're going to navigate things because you have unconscious competencies that you can awaken, dormant forces, as I alluded to within earlier. You have so much power and inspiration and creativity and masculinity within you that you haven't even felt in years, at least, or never in this particular context. But it is waiting there for you to be unleashed. But it can only happen if you take an internal as well as a systematic approach to it. Apply for a free initial consultation call if you want us to help you with that personally. Regardless, put this into practice and it'll truly help. Wish you all the best. Take care.